We're in the gallery at the moment. I just wanted to show you the Sterbi Corys that are in here. From our last video, we showed you the Sterbi Corys, but they were quite small, so you couldn't really see them. So now we're just coming up to a week old now. These Sterbis are making their way and getting a little bit bigger. We've just fed them with some Hikari first bites and also newly hatched brine shrimp. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through and explain how we get our Corys to breed and how to collect the eggs as well, because the Corys are egg scatterers. Alright, without further ado, let's move on to the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to BlueFin Aquatics, where we share our knowledge and experience with you. Okay, from carrying on from our last video, we were talking about our Corys and what we do breed here with the 4 different types. Basically, we have the Venezuelans, we have Panda Corys, we also have Sterbis, and also the Emerald Green Corys. So they're the basic 4 ones that we breed at the moment, and we are extending our list. So what we're going to go through today is just basically go through how we get our Corys basically to breed and what we feed them to get in that prime condition. So generally what we do is we feed them up usually for about a week or 2 before we want them to breed. So we're feeding them up on red bloodworms and also some different types of food. We do feed them a bit of freshly hatched brine shrimp as well. So just to get the females nice and plump so they can deposit a lot more eggs. Now, as we know that the Corys themselves, they're actually egg scatterers, so they don't lay them in one spot. And one unique thing about the Corys with the females is that our ratio that we have, we usually do a ratio of 3 to 1, so 1 female to 3 males. But the interesting thing about the females is that when they're scattering up and down the glass where they want to lay their eggs, or in some reeds or in some moss, generally what she does, as they swim up and down, so she actually collects the sperm from the males themselves, and when she's ready to deposit her eggs, she also has them fertilized. So as soon as they stick to the glass or wherever she is laying her eggs, they are fertilized pretty much straight away. So you guarantee that your Corys will hatch up pretty much, be fertile, and with very little that wouldn't be fertilized. Now the way to go about this is that what we do is that we have them obviously in their own tanks. So what we do is after we've fed them up and got her nice and plump, we deduct and take away half the amount of water in the tank itself. Now what we basically do then when we take it out, we start with a hose and we start putting in some fresh cold water, which brings the temperature of the tank right down, and this basically gets them into the spawning mood to start spawning. So generally when you do that, they will spawn probably the next day, whether it be in the morning, early morning, or somewhere during the night. Sometimes it's very hard to capture them actually laying the eggs, but what you will see through the day is that they'll be racing up and down on the aquarium glass, and that'll give you a good indication that they're primed up and they're ready to go. So basically, once you fill the tank up with cold water, this will really stir them up and really get them going and saying, right, the weather's changing, we are going to breed now. So, and that's basically what triggers them off. So from there onwards, what we do then is once they've laid their eggs, we end up going collecting them. Now, to be very careful with these eggs, what you can do is when they start to glass or a plant, if they're on a plant, we don't remove them. We just put them in another flat container so that their leaves are submerged in the water. But what we also do too to get the eggs off the glass, we either use our fingernail, which is a lot easier to do because the eggs will stick to your finger, or you can use a credit card. We have seen people use razor blades and things like that, but the course of that is you may damage the eggs. So once you've got the eggs and you've got them all out of the tank that you've got them in, is you put them into a new tank or into a new tray like we do, and then just allow basically for about 3-4 days before they start to hatch around, and then you'll see them basically darting around all over the place. So generally in their first 4 to 5 days of hatching, they generally don't eat anything because they've got egg sacs on them. So they need to use that up before they'll go basically free swimming around the tank. So roughly around about day 4 or 5, then you start feeding them some very small Hikari first bites, or you can feed them with freshly hatched brine shrimp. But just remember that when you do feed them, make sure there's no excess on the bottom, and do change 50% of the water because you don't want the water to go foul, and this is very easy. So what we do then, we feed our Cory babies roughly around about 3 to 4 times a day, so that'll get them on their way. So with all that, you keep feeding them up, and you know, within say 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start seeing them in their shape, and they'll start taking shape of their parents. And furthermore down track, after a month or 2 months, they will generally then start being like their parents, but obviously in a smaller size. So with this video, we hope you've got something out of it in regards to how you breed your Corys. But the prime motivation for the Corys to breed is make sure the water is cold, which will stir them up. And again, make sure the female is nice and plump. So they're the key areas that we look at to make sure that they're ready to breed. So hopefully again, you've got something out of this video, and in time we're going to take on some new different Corys, and we'll also be showing those on our videos. So without further ado, we'll see you next time on our video. Thank you for joining us.